I never, ever thought I would open a business for myself. And then I had a baby.
Meet Patrice Mousseau, founder of Satya Organics, a skincare company created for people with skin issues, powered by Shopify.
When Esme was about 8 months old, she developed eczema. The doctor's only option to me was steroid creams. I just started experimenting in my kitchen crock pot. I actually found something that cleared her eczema up in 2 days. After about a year or so of just selling it out of my kitchen window, I decided to make a business out of it. Shopify templates are fantastic, and their customer service is absolutely stellar. You can buy Satya online, you can buy it in stores, you can buy it in our social channels, and that's all made possible by Shopify.
When you're ready to share your business with the world, grow it on Shopify, the all-in-one commerce platform trusted by millions of businesses like Satya. Get a free 14-day trial at shopify.com/free22 and start selling wherever your customers are with easy-to-use tools and friendly 24/7 support. Go to shopify.com/free22. Shopify.com/free22.
Welcome to CoPlay Media, a look inside the world of video games, anime, and the Blerd community. And now, here are your hosts, Diers and Demo.
Welcome to CoPlay Media! Today we have one of the biggest people that I know in the convention industry. Yeah, I'm hyping you up, man. I'm hyping you up. Hilton George.
Oh, Lord.
Here today you got me, D, my awesome co-host, Demo.
Yes, sir.
And we here are going to talk about the man, the mission, the movement. Are you ready? Are you ready, guys?
I think I'm ready.
All right, we ready. We ready. Let's do it.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it. So, Hilton, where you from, man?
I'm born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
All right. Really?
However, I don't claim Philly. I claim North Carolina. I can't pass the Philly quiz. I left Philly in the second grade.
Okay.
So, I'm definitely from Philly.
I feel you.
But, North Carolina is home.
Is where you rep. That's awesome. And straight into it, man, what are you watching right now? What are you playing right now? Give me the rundown, man.
Ooh, man, let me tell you something. I have taken my first bite of Naruto, and that's not just because you're wearing the shirt.
Hey!
I'm telling you, I know it's a big piece of cake to bite.
Yes.
Because there's like 650 episodes, and I hear that a third of them are fillers.
Yes. Do you
So
have
I gotta
somebody
be
wise to steer you away from the filler?
Oh, no. You got to understand, I do not have any other nerds in my family.
Wow.
I am the only nerd in my like work life and personal.
Really?
Yeah, the con community
It's that
is
black
the
sheep.
only.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, my family will not let me put anime on the TV.
Wow.
Yeah. My father thinks that anime will break his TV.
You know what? They come around, man.
You remember when they used to think video games would break your television?
Right.
Mm-hmm. You see it? Look at that. That ain't even on channel 3.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Don't plug it into that cable right there. It'll fry the whole thing.
Man. No, I get it. I was like that up until about 2 years ago. And then my brother started coming around. He's like 8 years older than me. So he came around and it's like, man, it took you this long? I've been trying to tell you this since I was in 5th grade. Like
For years I've been trying to put you on game.
man.
Right.
Well, look, the last new anime that I finished was My Hero Academia.
Oh, yeah.
My man.
And now, to be fair, it is a very easily digestible
It is.
anime. You don't really have to get too deep in it, but it does allow the emotions to just run high.
Right.
And I'm going to try and get back into gaming. Like this year, like this fall, it's been so long. I just don't have the time.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's just like the Mortal Kombat is just,
I love it. It's just calling.
pulling me. Like
It's
it's.
calling.
I was in Best Buy yesterday.
Oh, no.
And the guy was like, you should get this. You get 2
just
controllers
grab
with
this, bro.
and I was like, and it's only
trying to talk about.
And I was like, you know what? I don't need to get fired from my job. Blerdcon's coming up. It's like Blerdcon was just. It seemed like somebody was working on it, and then it just stopped. What happened?
Like Mortal Kombat, man. Mortal Kombat. Like
Where is Hilton? He is up in his room.
So, is there a favorite show ever, or was there a show that helped get you, like a gateway show that helped bring you into anime?
It should be good.
Oh man, listen. I remember when it wasn't called anime. it was called Japanimation.
Yes.
Okay. And and they snuck it in. It would come on like before, what is it, G.I. Joe?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Early crack of dawn. In
Right.
The morning,
You know, slide it in on you.
Yeah.
And you realize, like, there's something different about these stories. There's something different about this animation. This can't be coming from, Hasbro or whoever's sponsoring Transformers and all this stuff. Like, it's too dynamic.
It's too deep.
Yeah, so Robotech was my gateway.
Oh, man.
Robotech was my gateway.
Yeah, and Robotech went hard, man.
Yeah, man.
Like, this is where you saw death for the first time as a kid. As a little kid, it's an anime, but you're like, oh my God, this is an adult story.
People are actually dying.
There's real consequences to people's decisions, and you're like learning this stuff without it being in this enclosed environment.
Exactly.
And then you're followed by G.I. Joe, which was totally the opposite of that.
You already
and
knew how it was going to end.
And Cobra Commander's going to get away.
No one's going to get shot.
Next week.
And then, exactly.
Your favorite
it's the
character is
same
going to
thing
be
over and
around
over.
the whole show.
Where I'm watching Robotech, like my favorite character could die.
Right.
Any second. Like
Right.
Game of
It's
Thrones
right.
kind of armor, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Like Rick Hunter's plane is on fire. Like, what is going on?
Like, he might not.
Yeah.
Oh, he didn't make it.
What will we do?
Yeah. I tell people all the time my gateway was Dragon Ball Z, and that's what it was for me. Like, your favorite character. First episode, Goku's like, the show just started, man. How are you already just gone?
Already grown, already ready, already heading to
This
a
is why
tournament.
anime fans were not that upset with Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
They're like, we've been here before.
We get it.
Yeah, yeah.
Y'all are new.
Yeah.
We-
like,
Yeah,
oh,
we
it
get
just
it.
the
We can
ending is
relate.
flat.
Wow,
Yeah, we've
that's
seen
an
this. We've seen this several times.
Point, yeah.
Yeah.
I never thought about it like that because nobody's death in Game of Thrones shocked me at all. But
Nah.
I knew it could happen.
Like, that's how it can
It's
be.
ingrained. That's life.
It is. And I think like anime was the first kind of media that really brought it in. Like, it was like real life versus real life with the cartoons in a way that you haven't seen it. Because that's where I've seen a lot of mature animations from Japanese animation.
Yeah.
Well, this is why we get so insulted when people call anime cartoons.
Yes.
There are cartoons out there. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, yeah.
And I love those cartoons. Bugs Bunny,
Of course.
Tom and Jerry, classic ones.
They serve their purpose.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, call those cartoons. You'll get no beef from me.
Heck yeah.
But if you see me queuing up, my anime, Attack on Titan, and then like, I'm watching the cartoons, I'm like,
This is a little more cinematic
you should.
than your normal,
You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
Right.
And then like the topics that they cover, like, gentrification, destroying of an entire race, or destroying a planet, like all these advanced concepts.
Right.
You don't see that in G.I. Joe.
No.
You don't see that in Transformers.
Not like that, no.
And I love. And look, don't get me wrong. As a franchise, I was weaned on Transformers. Even to a lesser extent, G.I. Joe and He-Man, and all of these shows that were kind of Silverhawks. I mean, you could go down the list of non-anime
Silverhawks,
animated shows,
Thundercats, yeah.
Thundercats and stuff like that. So we still have love for them. It's just different.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, as long as you know that they're different, then we're good.
So we had DJ Taylor Senpai on the show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
that was cool.
Listen, this is a guy who is on the cusp, like right on this forefront of, the musical, nerdification of the dance space.
Yes.
And I think when we talk about, the larger issue of the advancement and the growth of geek culture as mainstream, we think about, what's happening on the big screen, what's happening on the small screen, fashion, stuff like that. We see, but not everybody's going to the dance club or, the party or the cookout or whatever and having their geek space indulged on the dance floor.
Which is amazing.
And what's crazy is that you would never think, maybe 10 years ago, that you could be hanging out and in the club and you might be listening to trap music or people are twerking on the floor, whatever. And then all of a sudden
Switch it up.
you switch it up and then like is that the Mario Brothers theme?
Yeah, it is.
And it's lit.
He is playing. Wait, is that the intro? He mixed the intro from Cowboy Bebop into this. Like, what? And all the nerds in the room are like, oh,
Like, we know what's going on.
it's happening.
Right.
Like I remember I was listening to like some album. It was like Mac and Cheese or something. It was Montana. No,
French Montana?
French Montana.
Oh, French
Yeah,
Montana.
yeah. And then I heard like he was rapping, and I think I was listening. I was like, "Is that a Kingdom Heartbeat? Like,
Right.
Is that the intro from Kingdom Hearts? Like, this is so hard. Like,
Yeah,
I never would have thought." And I really enjoy how, you know, anime and nerd culture is really starting to bond with hip hop, and you know,
Yeah.
it's starting to become its own thing, and and everyone is kind of appreciating it.
I feel like Tyler, the Creator, tried to do that on his new album, where I was listening to it and I'm like, man, that's a Sonic the Hedgehog Green Hill Zone
Yep.
sample if I've ever heard one.
If I've ever
like,
heard
it's
one.
like undeniable.
Oh, yeah.
That's what that was to me. It just sounded exactly like, and I'm like, wow.
Well,
I appreciate this.
everything that is nerd is slowly going mainstream.
Yes.
And I think the next generation, and we're on the radio, people can't see me using air quotes, of nerds, that word nerd is not going to have the same meaning. It might not have any meaning
Anymore.
to these kids that are coming up in this environment.
Right, I don't think so.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean it's...
there's got. I mean, the jock can't just disappear, right? Like the jock.
He can have the jock, but he's going to run a touchdown with his arms flung behind his back.
For aerodynamic.
He's gonna do that Naruto run, man. It's not, and people are gonna go, well, that was good.
I think there
that was tight,
actually
you know?
may be a YouTube video of a track team. Of course, they lost.
because it doesn't actually make you run faster,
Right.
Does it?
I think every leg of the relay ran in such a way that it was like an anime character, like Naruto. All right, Bebop. All right.
That's hilarious.
If you know your team sucks,
Yeah.
you go for the moral victory.
You gotta have fun.
You go for the entertainment angle. We're not getting the trophy, people, but we are winning.
Still
we
win.
are going to be winning.
Still win as
We
far
will
as
get
I'm
the
concerned.
attention.
There
You
you
may
go.
lose, but everyone's going to talk about
Yep.
us.
Yep.
So, do you have a different taste in music, or has your taste in music been changed by anime? Like, is there, you know, like a set? Do you like listening to chill hop, or is there a certain genre of music that you've been feeling lately?
I actually, it's funny because sometimes, and you know, circling back to DJ Taylor Senpai, he will DJ at a lot of our events and other cons. So our typical setup, our ideal setup, is with him behind our table in a booth, if you will, at another convention to
dope.
promote. Now, you may not know this about him, but he is a human being, and he's got to eat, and he's got to go to the bathroom also, so he can't spend 10 hours straight, right?
Yeah.
So what happens is he'll leave, and if he stays gone longer than the playlist that he has queued up, I will put my iPod in play.
Nice.
Now I'll have to sit there and click furiously from song to song because, I mean, listen, you can tell a lot about somebody by their playlist.
Yes,
right?
you can.
Mine is really insane. Like, people might commit me because I'll have like some old school hip hop. And I will have some 90s pop in there, and then out of nowhere, the theme song for The Price is Right. Like, for no reason at all. Like, why is this in here? I had a reason when I put it in there. I know I did. Had to. Nobody pays for this. Remember, I paid for that song.
Right.
You had to
download it.
something.
I would
You
love to
had
know what
Now,
the reason was.
If I'm by myself and it comes on in the car, it's playing. I'm letting it go.
You gonna let it
I'm
ride?
Let it ride all the way out because it's like, it's a beautiful piece of music.
I
If you
feel like,
listen to all the instrumentation and
It's layered,
stuff,
yeah.
It is
and I
layered.
just
It's
fall
nice.
into it, and it just takes you to all these moments, you know, and then it's like maybe 3 minutes long, whatever, and then it's gone. But then if I forget where I am and there's somebody on the passenger seat, and I look over and the look of horror on their face, like, did that just happen? Like,
Dog, what is this? Like, what are you doing?
is this
right
the
here?
bone collector? Does this lock work? Am I going to have to roll out of the barrel roll out of this car at 35 miles an hour?
Man.
Everything was cool, and then all of a sudden, Hilton
know
started
what?
playing The Price is Right.
Maybe that's the theme song you play after a deal goes well. Like,
Hey,
that's right.
The Price is Right. Come on down. Sign these papers.
So I like different music for different reasons. It really, I mean, I've been a nerd my whole life, so I don't know that I have been influenced as far as my taste is concerned by anything happening now in the nerd space. Now, I have an appreciation for some of those things in a way that maybe, we call, a muggle or a normie might not.
Right.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really, like my taste is pretty eclectic. I don't venture, maybe country music. Maybe country music is the place I don't live.
Yeah.
But
I don't think either of us. Does any of us live in country music?
Well, we all kind of are now.
Yeah, Lil Nas X.
Because Lil Nas X.
Yeah,
you know what?
We're getting pulled back in.
Yeah.
But they don't even want to acknowledge it. Have
Right,
you
there's
seen
like
the whole
that
issue with
country.
acknowledging Nas X?
Yeah. You got a black man with tassels on his
he's
shoulder.
black.
You know what I'm saying? They took him off the Country Music Awards until he got, what's his name? Miley Cyrus's dad on there? Billy Ray Cyrus, yeah.
They were like, no, we can't allow this to happen.
I was like,
We can't allow it.
like you think we made some distance and then this comes along.
I don't blame them, man, because that's trouble.
It is a
Is it?
breakthrough of epic proportions.
Yeah,
and I
it
will
is.
tell you, when it comes to music, in the meta, I think that music is the soundtrack for how we feel in our space.
Yep.
It's what transports us to the different places mentally and emotionally
Right.
that we are familiar with, either in a TV show or a video game or a movie.
Very true.
So, like, for instance, I like going to events where there is music playing. I like a soundtrack.
Yeah. True.
And I mean, we can get into Blerdcon when you're ready. I do like the idea of using music for more than just either tuning everyone in the world out.
Right.
Or just tuning ourselves into just who's right around us and using that to kind of make a mood. Like if you had a house party or you had an event, like you would think about your playlist for that.
Yeah.
Like what kind of event is this? Is a family event. We're going to be playing board games and drinking wine. Okay, let me play something in the background that's so in tune with what is happening that people
Right.
don't even know it's playing.
Okay, I'm showing my age right here. Have you guys seen I'm Gonna Get You Sucker? I'm Gonna Get You Sucker?
That's a classic.
It's
It's
a
mandatory watching.
Okay.
To renew your black card.
Exactly.
Don't
It's
be
family.
remiss
It's
all that.
family.
Yeah.
Movies. Like that's what I grew up on.
Yeah.
So you guys remember how I believe his name was Slade always had his posse band playing his theme song
Yep.
with him. What would be your theme song if you had to walk around with a band playing? Please don't say The Price is Right.
No, I don't even think you can walk to that. That would be crazy.
Real fast.
Oh man, that's a good question. It's crazy. I remember this question. I didn't even think about it. Like, I really, really love some of the old music. I think it was meant for walking and it was meant for driving.
Oh, yeah.
Like Curtis Mayfield.
Oh yeah.
Move on up. Like, you feel like you're on to something.
Yeah.
Like we you know what I mean? Like
It feels like productive and like you're coming up, like literally like moving on up.
Yeah.
Right. Right. And it's the
was some walking
melody.
music.
It's the melodies that were so important to the 70s, 80s, and 90s music too. The melodies for me are what really carry, like even beyond the words or the meaning of the song, the melody is what really just moves me forward. Like if I'm driving or
that harmony.
if I'm oh man, like this is a positive energy that kind of fuels my brain.
It feels good. The music felt good.
It was
felt
good feeling back then. You know what I'm saying? Like we
And
still
it was
got-
live.
Yeah, it was live.
It was live.
Yeah.
I mean, there was people in the studio playing the drums and there's a horn section.
Earth, Wind, and Fire had a whole band, whole orchestra.
And listen, everybody black knows somebody who was in Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yep.
That's how many people was in Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yes. Sometimes I wonder if my dad
If you
was in
think
there.
hard enough, you're like, wait a minute.
People like, I have a cousin that's married to the drummer.
Yeah, because my dad was sitting in the basement playing guitar, and it's like all he's playing is like, are you reliving that
good old
time you were
days?
there?
I mean,
what do you
Right.
I mean, but I think that's a good part of music is that it helps you relive those memories, and it also helps you like I know when I'm studying, I'll try and if I'm taking a test, I'll try and play the same songs because I feel as if the music will help remind me of what I was looking at the same time.
I do that a lot at work. I do notice that I play the same songs over because it's like I'm mellow while I'm listening to it,
And
and no one can stress me out.
And there's memories associated with it,
Mm-hmm.
and it kind of it's just a great thing. It's just a great thing.
Yeah, music therapy, man. It's therapy. Tell people all the
Get your
time.
blood pressure down.
Yep.
It's definitely therapeutic, man.
Yep.
So, what was the first convention that you experienced? Was there a gateway to the like? Which convention did you walk in? Was like, this is it. This is home right here. Like,
Now the convention that brought me into cosplay and brought me into the con space and all that, and I don't know how I ever came out of it or how I missed it, was Magfest. I think it was in 2014.
Wow.
I went to my first Magfest, and here's how it happened.
It's fairly recent.
I'm a nerd who went into the nerd closet. What happened was my first introduction to participatory group geekdom was Dungeons and Dragons in elementary school, right? And I'll circle back to that, but I fell off of it. And fast forward to college, I went to college and I got cool, you know, and girls were there, and I had a little kind of I had some game, all this stuff. Like maybe the nerd thing was a little more of a phase than I wanted to admit. Yeah. And at the, in the 90s in the HBCUs, man, there wasn't much of a geek space.
There was no geek space.
There really wasn't.
If you were pulling out a manga, that's
like what is
that?
That's interesting. Like, why is everybody's mouth open in every frame? What is this you're looking at? So there wasn't.
Like, why is he reading from right to left?
It really wasn't. There really wasn't. So I completely separated from geekdom during and right after college, and it started to bubble up in unknown ways. So I was that guy at Halloween who was a costumer. And I didn't even really think about it.
Went all out, yeah.
All my friends would be like, oh, we're going to do this, and we're going to do that, and here's going to be the theme, we're all going to meet up. And then I would show up, and people were like, oh, here he go.
Like, oh, he killed us.
Oh, he killed us. We all went to Party City, you built something. Like, come on, man. Like, why is that lighting up? I don't understand what's happening here. You can't why can't you wear a mask like everyone else? Get you an afro wig like Johnny.
Yeah.
And just drink and have a fun time. I'm like, don't touch the costume because there's wires and there's glue, and I was working on it in the car, And I went to this thing out at this Halloween party, and I had one of my creations out there, and I was having fun. A guy came and was like, "Hey, do you cosplay?" And I was like, "Huh?" He's like, cosplay. It's like, you do this outside of Halloween. I was like, nah, who does this outside of Halloween?
Why would I do that?
He's like, you go to cons and the people cosplay year round. And I like, my head is slowly turning to the left, like, okay, what's going on where? And he just started rattling off like all the area conventions. And he went from, it's like Magfest coming up next and and Katsucon, all this. And I said, oh, that's, Halloween to Magfest was like 3 months. Yep. I looked it up. Put together, I started working on the cosplay, and that was my first time walking into a con. Now, my con life started in the 4th grade. And I forgot all about it until maybe 2 years ago. Repressed memories, we won't call it.
Of course.
At NC State University, they used to have this convention called TriCon. And we were in, kids, middle school, elementary school, we can't get into conventions. It was an all-night convention on campus, whatever. So we couldn't get in to the con at all, day, night, whatever. We were locked out. We weren't students. Genius nerddom, Goonies style stuff. My man found, you're not going to believe this, my man found the schematics for the underground electrical lines. To get into, I'm serious, man.
Yo, how old were y'all?
You don't want to know. I promise you don't want to know. There are legalities and liabilities involved at this point that I don't think NC State wants to hear about. We went into the sewers.
Wow.
Underneath North Carolina State University using a map and flashlights, right? And would come up through the grate covers in the basement of the building that was hosting the event. And then we figured once we were in, nobody would question our age. I mean, freaking 12-year-olds running around, like, who would know? And I was like, we wanted to go in, and they would be doing Dungeons and Dragons, and it was just amazing to us. It was and it was just like one of those things where you look back as an adult, it's like, what in the hell?
That's like some stuff that Stranger Things kids will get into or something.
You know what? I never seen that show. Is that show good?
What? Wow.
Oh, I take it from that reaction.
Ladies and gentlemen cannot see the judgment.
I seen everyone look at me. Everyone shook their head all at once. Everybody was like, nah, man.
Well, you have homework, dude.
I got homework. All right, so I got Stranger Things. That's all right. Let me go ahead
and write that down. If you like Stephen King novels, if you like Steven Spielberg,
So I got to get on it, huh? I got to catch up.
You got to catch up. It's really good stuff.
It's really good?
It's really good stuff.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. I'll give it a shot. Is it like Goonies kind of meets Gremlins kind of good?
More
Like,
serious, though.
More serious.
Darker. We laughed at Goonies. It wasn't...
Yeah, I was about to say, Goonies.
But they're
is
nerds. They really do so many homage scenes.
Everything about it.
Everything is totally geeked out. So so everything that I was just talking about, that's my transportation back to my world. That's what we were doing.
Yeah.
Running around in the woods.
Crazy.
For
That's
no
what
reason at all.
That's what's the fun thing about being a kid back then, though.
Yeah, when your parents just used to send you out into the wild,
Man.
tell you to come back when the lights are on.
I think I literally would go play about 2 miles from home, and nobody thought anything of it.
I would get on my bike. I would ride like 2 miles
Just
to go
gone.
play basketball, be there for 6 hours, stop by the 7-Eleven, ride back.
And you know what? We were probably more responsible back then. I can't see my kids doing that at all. Not at this, like at their age, I was doing that, but it's like, nah, you guys aren't the same kind of kids.
They're not built for this.
Yeah,
They got
like,
peanut allergy. Anything can kill these kids. Did he step on a nail? Did he get bit by a snake? No. He got a peanut in his shoe and his head swelled up. You don't want
think
that.
about it.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. You got to
Different
watch out
world.
about
It's
that.
like, how can't you can't eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? I look at my son and
Not crunchy. Crunchy, they could die. They could choke on it.
exactly got EpiPens and crap.
Oh man, so Hilton, what exactly, or why are you a Blerd? Like, we've talked about your interests and whatnot, and I remember, because I do my due diligence studying and how you guys got the phrase Blerd. If you could roll over that story for me and why you are a Blerd, man, I greatly appreciate that.
Well, it's really, I want to separate those questions out because the word blurred, I didn't create it. It kind of existed and came about organically on its own. Now, I have a PowerPoint presentation that I give at other conventions, various titles, Blerd is the word, Blerd report, what have you. Okay. But I talk about the history of the word. And the first time the word blurred appeared in the mass media was from the show Scrubs.
Scrubs, yeah.
Right? And Turk was in a scene where he was operating at the time, a very complex piece of camera equipment, and all of his white cohorts were posing, couldn't get it to work. He said, I got this, goes around and basically says, I got this. I just spent the weekend hanging out with my cousin, who's the world's biggest Blerd. Okay. And then cut to all the white friends going, what? And he goes, a black nerd.
Yeah.
And that's where the world of the word started to kind of come from.
Yeah, that's where it sparked.
I never thought of myself as a Blerd when I was a Blerd. I always thought of myself as just a nerd.
Right.
And
same.
And now, obviously, the black nerd experience, if we really want to break it down, is very, very, very different than the traditional nerd experience.
Oh, very different.
Now, you do not have to have this conversation with a black nerd. You get about 2 or 3 sentences into that, and you end up just nodding for about a half hour.
You're right.
And remember when right. Because we, as black nerds, have always had 2 levels of rejection. Now, as a nerd, everybody knows you got to turn over, not anymore, or not as much anymore, but you had to turn over your cool card.
Yeah.
You come out of the high school cafeteria chow line with your tray and you look across there, you got to pan hard. Because you can't sit just anywhere.
You got to
look. You're like, okay, jocks,
and
white
jocks,
girls,
smart kids, rich kids.
Right, and nobody wants you there. But the nerd table is kind of where you had safe refuge.
Yeah.
Now, as a regular nerd, you had your nerd card, your cool card taken, but it was only the black nerds that also had to give up their black card.
Right.
Because all of the things that we were into and all of the things that we did, the way we walked, the way we talked, everything was seen as white. And here's why.
Yep.
Because there was an internalized stereotype amongst our people that defined black as inherently cool, inherently, not physically dark, but dark, and hip and swag and all this stuff.
Musical, we always got something to do with
we
music.
didn't have room in our community, or at least know to make room for other definitions of what black was supposed to be. And here comes this guy with pants are hiked up a little bit.
Got the
maybe
suspenders on.
maybe he's a little bit on the spectrum. You know,
Yeah, I knew a guy like that.
a little smart, a little more book smart than,
Right.
than,
Street
than
smart.
is useful in casual conversation.
Right.
You know, all those things that people like this. You can't be black and that. So we come up. We got to give up both of our cards. And
Kind of an outcast.
we have not, and we're still doing it. We have not come full circle in the black community yet of recognizing and creating space for the nerds, for the black nerds
Right.
in our own family, in our own households.
Right.
So we talk about rejection, we talk about marginalization. It does happen on both sides. Now,
Yeah.
obviously, it's different because we don't have the power to marginalize anyone, but to a certain extent, because we are a minority within a minority.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So we get it from both ends. Like, so as a cosplayer, for instance, like, oh, here you go. You're the black Superman.
Yeah, that's another soul.
Oh, Sailor Moon's not black.
I
You
hate
look
that.
really awesome in that cosplay for a black guy.
All right, for a black guy.
Or you wearing that anime shirt, like that's extra special. Like that's way more special than it really should be. You know what I mean? And so when thinking about the convention, I was actually at MomoCon. And I was on a con binge, man. All of my decades of nerddom was coming out, and I was having a blast.
Yeah.
And I looked out on the audience. Now, you know how the convention center looks in Atlanta, and you can look down into the crowd from the top level, the entry level. And I looked down and I saw, so many people of different backgrounds and colors and ages and orientations, genders that were all kind of connecting first in the fandom. And the geek space before you would see any kind of divisions based on race.
Yeah.
And I said, wouldn't it be really cool if there was a convention that was like this, and you have a convention that is multi-dimensional, multi-fandom, video games and panels and parties and all-night raves and all this stuff, but centers around the black nerd experience.
Yep.
And so I stepped back and I forgot to touch my own nose and go, well, not me, I'll tell somebody else to do it. And with no sense of self-preservation, I stepped into this venture, and it took about 2 years of planning before year one happened, and
That's it.
that was it.
That's huge.
That's
Like,
innovative.
you know what I'm saying? Like I don't think you know the level that you have innovated. Like, you have created a special market for like a niche of a niche, that gives them the freedom to live and, express themselves the way they want. Like, I think that's huge.
With that, I'm happy you're starting to watch Naruto because I appreciate Naruto in that once you see what the Cloud Village is made up of, it's like, wow.
But like, it's a little too specific, right?
Very, very specific.
Very specific.
This is what nerds do. We go directly to the granular.
Yeah.
We are at the molecular.
And I don't want to ruin it for you right now because I'm sure you already know. Or do you already know?
I may or may not. I don't know enough to not
the Cloud
know what I don't
Village
know.
is basically the black people of Naruto.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
And I can appreciate that.
Yes.
I can appreciate that because it's like, wow, we got that much recognition in an anime. Like, you got your characters there that could be black. They might be black.
Yeah,
like Piccolo. Piccolo
the
might
off-color
be a black
characters,
man.
the
He's
Skeeters,
just not
and
white,
Piccolos.
and so we just defaulted.
Exactly.
If you mess with the hue on the TV,
Just a
you
little
can
bit.
see
It's
the
actually
tint. Look at that.
Piccolo's black
Right,
man.
like, Piccolo's got to be a black man.
Just
He's
like
taking
that.
care of a kid that's not his. He's
Right.
got to.
You know, he's
And
the-
he's really mad about it.
He's really mad.
angry all the time. He's the angry,
But he doesn't leave.
He doesn't leave. Black guy. He's the angry black guy. Wow. Then you got Mr. Popo.
Mr.
That's
Popo.
the other end of that spectrum. Yeah.
The opposite end of that spectrum. Not angry at all.
So we were represented, but not to that extent. So that's why I think that's where, like, Naruto for me gained a lot more respect.
Yeah.
Because he took the time to, like, recognize, like, yo, black people love anime. I'm just going to give them a whole village to themselves. And they're awesome. but you'll see.
Oh yeah, they're all awesome.
Yeah.
All of them.
And to be honest, what really drew me into it was the fact that it's like a foreign language almost. You know, if you are going to move within the circles of the anime crowd, this is a colloquial discussion that I want to be able to be in on. Right? This is not an accident that this show is as popular, as long running as it is. Yeah. You don't suck and have longevity. Yeah. This isn't The Walking Dead. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to. Sorry.
It was good for like 4 seasons, man. 4 seasons, it was solid.
I'll give it 5.
5 seasons? I fell off. I fell off at the farm. At the farm, I was like, I can't.
A lot of people got left at the bus stop on that one. But yeah, I feel like, you know, it's just something that I would rather know more about. And even though it's daunting to look at, you're like, oh, there's 26 episodes in every season. Like, how much binge time will I have? I'm going to take it on because... You know, I want to be in on the story, you know, so, yeah.
But you know what? I think that is what also got me into manga, too. Naruto was definitely the first manga that I ever got into, probably because of the fillers.
I'm still fighting that manga.
Yeah. Here's the thing.
I refuse to read.
The manga crowd, my goodness, y'all. Look, you know what? The manga crowd is like... The beautiful woman hanging up in VIP looking down at the rest of the club. There's nothing you can say to that woman to bring her down to come holler at you. If you are the manga, listen. Like if I'm sitting here, I'm even something mundane and just so base like One Punch Man. Like even like there's if you gather 10 people in a room and start talking about One Punch Man and Saitama, somebody like, well, if you like that, you should try the manga. And everyone stops talking. It's like, oh, here you go. Why'd you bring Carl?
Yeah,
I told you. Carl,
this guy.
Carl is gonna trump everybody.
It's always a guy named Carl.
He always it's the little Joker.
Yeah,
manga is the little Joker in every discussion. You just throw that down, and people have to like.
It's a weird crowd because they both love the same thing, but 2 different mediums, and it's a weird. It's like it's all the same. It's the same.
Well, it's like the guys who watched Game of Thrones versus the guys who read the books. Oh my God! If you want to see somebody on a high horse, you talk to someone who's read like 4 books this 3 inches thick.
This wasn't right. It just didn't happen that way.
It just didn't end the way that I thought.
They could have totally written in that script. Like, it's 65 pages that they had to let go. It's a 1-hour show.
Yeah, like you gotta just accept it. Like, take the good visuals and be happy.
Yeah, taking them and be gone.
But see, this is for the listeners. This is what I'm talking about. If you did not know that there were 3 black guys sitting in a circle talking about anime and science fiction and literature, there's nothing about this discussion that is any different than white geek fans talking about their fandom.
Right. I absolutely agree.
And it shouldn't have to be. Right. Now, on the flip side, I think there is something that we bring to the nerd space and can bring to the nerd space that is individual to us, and we all want to see it happen. And when it does, we're like, oh my God. Like you were talking about that one thing in Naruto that just really reached you, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Now that is something that goes along with your blerdness, right? But everything else about the show that you love, any other fan of the show, 95% of it, they're like, yes, exactly. Yeah. You know, and so this is why we get so granular, because we agree on so much.
Right.
And so we have to find debate points.
Yep.
We have to argue because we're thinking and we're like, wait a minute, this conversation is boring. There's too much agreement going on here.
Yeah, I need to. Like, are you sure you like Shippuden? Like, are you sure you want the filler? Like, what?
I'm gonna throw in I'm just gonna wreck this whole discussion and figure out. Just say the one thing that just wrecks every anime discussion. But can he beat Goku? We're not even talking about anime. This was about Man of Steel. I mean, I'm saying you were talking about how fast and strong it was. I'm just trying to figure out if he beat Goku.
Can he beat Goku? Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like, come on. Like, you know.
I mean, Goku and Superman are the same person from different nationalities.
Well, okay, so this is where we're going to disagree, right? Because I feel as if Goku worked for it. You know what I'm saying? He ignored his family. He ignored his friends.
He died at least 5 times.
Yeah, I was about to say, he died like 4 times and just kept coming back happier and stronger, more positive than ever. Like, Like, reality did not touch Goku. Superman, he was just like here. You know what I'm saying?
He got given that which he had.
Yeah, he was already all powerful, and he switched to like to what he thought humans were to get along with them.
True, but didn't him and Goku are still the same? I mean, he's a Saiyan on Earth. It's not until he's battling other aliens that you actually see like, oh, he's really not that good. He's not as strong as we thought he was. Like, up until a point, Goku was going to these tournaments and ranking everything.
Until he decides to stand still and light up and start yelling for 15 minutes and then powers up and destroys half the planet. And they're like, you could have started with that.
Like, why don't they ever start with that? They never start.
Wait until you're at the brink of death before you go, and then nobody stops him from powering up. No one wants to interrupt the power. They gotta wait.
Him in the gut.
Right? Like, stop that.
Oh, man. My kingdom to see somebody stop somebody from powering up, man. Like, it would be amazing just to see someone just get clocked.
If that ever happened, it's like, okay.
And here is how you know there are no black writers in the room. Because one black writer would have made that suggestion. Maybe they could just punch him once. You know what I'm saying? Just as soon as he starts to
just catch him in the throat, man.
Right.
It seems like he's deriving all his power.
Like you're about to go Super Saiyan. None of that.
That's right. Oh,
what season are we on here? Yeah. No, I've seen this happen before.
The dude was powered up for like 15 minutes. What'd you do? I clotheslined him.
Vegeta and Nappa with the famous is over 9,000. It's like, okay, you see him, he's over 9,000. Stop him. Like, no, it's over 9,000. Like,
I saw he was over 9,000, so I just went ahead and just killed him right there. Like, Nappa, don't even get involved, bro. Like,
as soon as he hit 5,000, that's probably when he should have been like punched in the stomach.
I've been like, yo, hit the bench, man. Hit the shower, Nappa. I got this, man. Like,
Nappa.
You gonna get washed,
like,
man.
at what point do you jump him and you're just watching Nappa get beat up? Like, wow, you're not gonna help.
You're like, this is your fight, man. This is your fight. But speaking of Nappa, a partner to Vegeta, like the segue, right? Mm-hmm. Nice segue. Mm-hmm. Tell me about your co-founder.
You talking about my man Haas?
Your man Haas, man.
Me and Haas, we went to college together, and he is a guy who I've known through all of my academic formative years. One of the first people I met at North Carolina Central. Just a really cool guy, and we just stayed in touch, and. We were just like always, we would talk about anything. He went to law school, after graduation. I have an art degree, by the way. Oh. So his track was definitely on a whole other level. And so he was the first person I called when I came up with the idea. I was like, okay, there's going to be a legal aspect of this, because if you talk about from a business standpoint,
right.
Creative minds come up, with amazing stuff. But if it's not properly protected, if you don't go about things in a business way, you look up and then it's someone's running away with it, like And so I said, well, let's secure the domain name. Let's secure the copyrights to the name. Let's get all that stuff in order first. We're going to spend the first year totally silent. We're not advertising. We're not doing. We're just getting. We're just getting the logo design. We're signing everything with the venues and all that sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. And he handled everything on that business end. I was here on the ground. He's of course he's based out in the Midwest. Okay. So I was handling all the stuff here on the ground, and he was handling all the business. And it was a 2-year. Just trying to get going, and him seeing the vision and having faith in it. And could not have done it without him. Could not have had the run that we've had without him. And people don't really get to see him because he's not really active in the nerd space.
Yeah, right? I was going to ask, like, how come we don't see him as much?
Because he's like securing land deals out in Indiana. It's like there's no you're where Waukegan. I don't. Never mind. It's
what? I'm glad you actually pointed that out. That you got to take care of that side of things when you're creative and you're coming up with your own venture. Mm-hmm. It's going to take time to get the tires on the road first. Yep. You know what I mean? Because I think a lot of people that try to do stuff get discouraged because it's like it's not happening like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's work that has to be done behind the scenes,
a lot of
beforehand,
foundational work has to go into a convention. People, it's funny because because there's more conventions, there's more people getting involved in the con running side of conventions, either of the ones that they created or had some hand in creating, or existing ones that they're getting more volunteer. And people who I've encountered who are on the outside, the attendee side, who have come in and tasted the con running side, it's always like this veil that is lifted, like, oh my God, man, like how did you
I thought it would be.
And I just sit back like,
it's work. It's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears.
It's a lot going on. So many moving parts. And so, it's definitely got a lot of, there's a lot to be done to do it right.
Good.
So for people who have never partaken in a convention, what can they expect to see?
Well, if you've never been to the convention, let's talk about what it is and what makes it unique. One, if you want to think about it in the abstract, think of it as a really dope soul food restaurant.
Okay.
And everybody comes in and they're getting to see the culture and when you go to a really good soul food restaurant, there's a story behind the recipe and you know what I mean? And so the smells, the sounds, all that sort of stuff. So it's got that kind of a vibe, so you got a lot of vendors, and the subject matter and the presenters for a lot of the panels are going to be people of color. They're going to be people who are, like black nerds who have either never presented at all or presenting on a neutral subject, because I think representation is just as important as inclusion.
Right.
So you're going to see an armor making panel with a black person doing it. Whether or not they talk about the black nerd experience while they're helping you do cosplay stuff is a different story. A lot of the subject matter is going to be, more focused on inclusion, diversity, that whole world. And is a lot going on. So last year and the year before, each year we had over 125 panels. That's a lot for any convention. It is. The programming side is really important. We have a lot of things happening talking about the, there's a 24-hour anime screening room, 24-hour arcade, there's a 24-hour video gaming room, which is two separate things. I got to remind people. Okay. So you got the upright video games, and then you got the cabinets, and then you got the consoles. So these are two separate rooms.
You got two different ones. Doing it big.
All right. We got tabletop gaming room. We have a comedy show, 2 concerts, 2 after parties, cosplay contest.
Wasn't there a barber shop going in there?
And that's what's new.
Yeah.
So what's been really fun is you say to yourself, okay, let's talk about the stuff that, like we were talking about earlier, the stuff that we just all love as nerds, black or otherwise. Yep. How do we put that black top spin on the ball for those things? So what are the things that we could do that just really hit black people right in their 23andMe, which is just to the right of your rib cage, by the way, if you didn't know. And so you say a barbecue. Like no convention has ever had a barbecue.
Never.
And we, as black people, have a very special cultural relationship with the barbecue trope.
We love that.
And so last year was the premiere of the barbecue. And so we had, DJ out there, and we had the barbecue tent, and the sage was in the air, and the smoke, and it was amazing. And I could go for days about the barbecue. That was a religious experience for me. Wow. I said, so how can we top that? Well, obviously, the barbershop is a cultural, gut punch to the 23andMe. Your African ancestry results just jumped 5 points. But
that's true.
So we got a barbershop, and we're working out the details, getting the barbers in place. We're actually going to purchase the tables and the chairs and all that stuff for it. And that's going to run both Friday and Saturday. We're doing a brunch, which in the DC area, which is a huge thing.
Nice.
Okay. And it's the bacon pancakes brunch. You probably see.
Yeah, making pancakes, making bacon pancakes. I love it.
Yeah. I can't hit the notes, so I won't go to the chorus.
That good old
so that's going to be there. The guest list, I think, is probably the biggest leap forward that we've been able to make happen this year for year 3. Obviously, everyone's heard Estelle is going to be there. Yeah. And, as a Grammy Award-winning singer, the voice of Garnet from Steven Universe, we had the opportunity to bring her in, and it was just like, Yes, and that's a whole other show how we brought that about.
Oh, yeah.
We've got Beau Billingsley, the voice actor extraordinaire for everything from sci-fi, video gaming, anime. I mean, if you just pick a fandom and he's been there some kind of a way, he's going to be there. The voice of Jet Black. From Cowboy Bebop. I mean, it's just like, wow, like he's really coming.
You know what? He's the voice for the Raikage, too, in Naruto.
Yeah, exactly. Right?
Sharp man. You got a good ear.
Right guy. Give him a shirt. Like, you have to give that type of knowledge. You
have earned the shirt. You have earned the shirt, Timo.
Don it well.
I am the
wash with light colors. But and then we've got Rachel True.
Rachel True.
Yes.
Wow.
She's a Highlander. She's a Highlander.
How did she pull off the Sade Pharrell thing going on?
I don't know, man. But I'm telling you, I had a chance to talk with her up in New Jersey, and it was like, the hardest thing about being in this position is that I'm a fan, and I want a fanboy,
but you got to check your fanboy.
But I gotta be upright business, and we talked for like an hour, and I'm just like, it's Rachel True having a conversation about life with me. I'm like, oh my God. But my outer is like, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Oh,
exactly.
Like,
perfectly stated,
Yeah.
And then we got the Samurai, who is this self-taught, dynamo out of London.
Yeah, she's huge.
Just
gorgeous.
Amazing. Yes. And with Afro, just doing her thing, man. And she's got a huge fandom.
She's like that stunt woman, right?
She is exactly that.
Yes.
Notice his voice got real NPR. Did you notice his voice like,
I know that
she's quite nice.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Right. A plethora of DJs. I talked to the Hyatt, where, the Hyatt Crystal City, about my vision for what I want Blerdcon to ultimately be once it grows into its shoes, where we own the whole venue and we're going to be over several venues. Okay. I want music coming out of every corner of that place. I said, look, I want video game and anime music playing in the bathroom stalls.
Yes.
I want it everywhere. Just take the whole place over.
Yes.
And once we own the hotel, meaning that there's no, you get that one family from Topeka, Kansas who came to see the monuments and all that stuff.
What's going on?
Yeah, we can only play the music so loud because they're there. Yeah, and, Yelp, it's important. Those ratings count, right?
That's true.
So this year was the first year that, even though we didn't own the hotel sold out, and we sold out the hotel across the street, and we're selling out the hotel across the street from that, which means that this is going to be a big, big year attendance-wise for us.
Oh, yeah.
So we got a big outdoor venue where we're doing a food truck rally. And so we got about 10, 12 trucks. They're going to be there 24 hours. They're going to be there from Friday afternoon till 4 o'clock in the afternoon on Sunday. So it's going to be a real taste of DC there. And there are no duplicates. So you got a barbecue truck, you got one hamburger truck, you got one pizza truck, you got one, you know what I mean?
Yeah, one Greek falafel truck.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's been sponsored by the Crystal City Bid, which has really bought into everything that we're doing, and they're going to make everything great happen out there. And so we're expecting a huge crowd, and what people talk about that is different with Blerdcon than probably any other convention, I think, is that people engage and experience one another in ways that they don't necessarily get to do at other cons. There's so many side conversations happening, so many, little spaces and pockets where, people are connecting and it's 24 hours. Like we don't turn the con off. The only thing that shuts down is the vendor hall.
That's it.
At like 8 o'clock.
Right.
Everything else is around the clock.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I've seen it. Dudes be playing until like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. They're just there.
Yeah, just bring your insomnia. Drink all 5 of the 5-hour energy.
Right.
Sometimes you drink 2 hours, drink all 4.
Yep.
Just drink them all.
Just drink them all.
So that's what we got planned for this year. Right. And
you guys also have tournaments too, right? You guys have video game tournaments?
We've got video game tournaments in the console area, right? And we got video game tournaments in the cabinet area. So everybody's going to be playing, everything. And we got some prize sponsors, and I mean, there's going to be a lot of free play, which is what I wanted to ensure. It was there'll be tournament play for the stars that everyone wants to watch, but you want to play Miss Pac-Man or Space Invaders or Tekken or something like that. There'll be cabinets and consoles for you to play. So you're not off behind.
Can you provide me with the situation that happened at Blerdcon that properly reflects the inclusivity and the intersectionality that you are looking to, cultivate?
I got really emotional at the closing ceremonies last year. I don't know if you were there. It was really, really heavy. And this happened the night before, but I had to recount the story, and a couple of people heard it when it happened. So I'm sitting there, and the news channel 9 is doing an interview with one of the guests, and the camera's pointed away, and I'm on standby because he wanted to whip around and talk to me. And a mom came up. And she was dressed as, one of the high priestess in Wakanda. She had face paint and everything, and she said, "Oh, I just wanted to talk to you." And she wanted to tell this story about this was the first time that her son, she allowed her son to come to a convention because she didn't understand what his geekdom was about or who he was as a geek and what that meant. Yep. And there was always this kind of, I guess she would say there was a rift or whatever between them. And she brought him to Blerdcon, and she saw him in his element. Yep. And she saw him in a different light. He lit up, and he was social. He was talking to people and all the stuff that he'd never done before. More confident, And she was just like, "Thank you for this, because I feel like I'm discovering my son for the first time."
That's beautiful.
And you're just
great.
"Oh, you're gonna do this before I go on camera?" Like,
you're sitting there like, okay,
I need a hanky and a half. Like, oh my gosh, right?
That's beautiful.
So that for me was just one of those little moments that happened at our convention because we take for granted being in the DC metro area that Black and brown people are everywhere.
Right.
We do.
And we kind of get comfortable with that fact. But if you're from Ames, Iowa, or some parts of Wisconsin or the Midwest, you may have never seen more than 4 Black nerds in a room, like in a con. So there are people who are coming from these I call them Blerd deserts, and they come they come to Blerdcon and they're just like, "What the? There's so much,
so much color everywhere.
What is going on?" And people are crying and falling out and stuff. Now, mind you, the brothers from Brooklyn and Harlem, like, "Hey, it's Tuesday."
They just come up like, "It's what's up, bro? What's up, man?"
So it's a different experience for everyone, but it comes together. And it's because of the energy that the people who are attending the con bring with them, and we are just kind of creating the space for it to happen.
That passion,
and that is where the magic happens, is the people, the community.
With the people, what advice do you have for guests, vendors, and volunteers?
Get lots and lots of sleep, drink lots and lots of water. By the time you feel thirsty, it's too late. By the time you realize you're dehydrated, it's too late.
Right.
Bring your best energy. I mean, these are most of the volunteers. Some of the guests have experienced con life before. What I tell them to do is, just engage. Just kind of let your guard down, and be open, because there is going to be a level of connectivity happening that I don't know that everyone has had in the nerd space before. And you must allow yourself to be open to it in order to fully experience it. Right. And the people come in and they just genuinely want to just bond with the entire environment.
Right.
Yeah.
And as a guest, as a volunteer, as a staff person, you may not have seen that. If you were at MomoCon, they got a setup. You want to go talk to the guests, you got to go through the roundabout, and you got to stand, and then the security says, "All right," and then go. And that's part of what we have to do, obviously, for photo ops and stuff like that.
Yep.
But you're going to bump into people in the elevator. There's people who's going to run in the parking lot. And the more open you are, and the more you are available for that, the richer experience you're going to have.
Exactly.
And I think that's what people are going to take away with them.
That's so real. Hey, man. Hey, Hilton, it's been a pleasure having you, man. Well, this is Demo, and Hilton, and this is CoPlay
Media.
Yeah.
Hi, guys.
You've been listening to CoPlay Media with hosts Diers and Demo. For more information on CoPlay Media and the Blerd community, visit CoPlayMedia.com or the CoPlay Media page at dc.radio.gov.
it's chic to be a geek, it's sweet to be a freak. Now you know. But if you've never been teased for something that you believe, then you can't relate to me. Know. Cool to be a nerd, it's chic to be a geek, it's sweet to be a freak. Now you know. But if you've never been teased for something that you believe, then you can't relate to me. Last week I went into Macy's and saw a retro shirt section and thought this is crazy. Transformers and Alpha and them sitting right next to Ralph Lauren kinda tripped me out. Made me recognize it isn't how it used to be. I'm happy truthfully, cause now the youth can be whoever they wanna be without fear of mistreatment or judgment from their peers. Yeah, and now the glasses I be called a geek for. In the boutique store, they want a Jeep for. Got me on the defensive like a Greek for. I should be celebrating, I guess we scored. Now they calling us retro, cause we thought the past was the best and don't want to let go. But no matter what, I just know exactly where I come from, and I'm never gonna forget, yo. You know, it's cool to be a nerd, it's chic to be a geek, it's sweet to be a freak. Now you know. But if you've never been teased for something that you believe, then you can't relate to me. Know. Cool to be a nerd, it's chic to be a geek, it's sweet to be a freak. Now you know. But if you've never been teased for something that you believe, then you can't relate to me. It's cool to be a nerd, it's chic to be a geek, it's sweet to be a freak. Now you know. But if you've never been teased for something that you believe, then you can't relate to me. Now you know. You didn't know. It's cool to be a nerd, it's chic to be a geek, it's sweet to be a freak. Now you know. But if you've never been teased for something that you believe, then you can't relate to me. Cool to be a nerd, it's chic to be a geek, it's sweet to be a freak. Now you know. But if you've never been teased for something that you believe, then you can't relate to me. It's cool to be a nerd, it's chic to be a geek, it's sweet to be a freak. Now you know. But if you've never been teased for something that you believe, then you can't relate to me. This is a special dedication to my friend Will. Showed me how to get lost in the music. I appreciate you.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $700 on average, and those savings add up. Imagine what you could buy in the future.
Hey, remember how 20 years ago I switched to Progressive? Well, now it's the future, and I used all those savings to buy this new hologram phone. Because, you know, it's the future, and everything is holograms now.
So switch to Progressive and save big, because those savings can add up in the future. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National annual average insurance savings by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive in 2020. Potential savings will vary.